Gumbo Fiction Salon is not. And I will be coming back because no one wants to be in New Orleans in June, July, August. We won't be either. We will be coming back to the Midwest every summer. And I'll be making occasional visits back to the Midwest to see family. And so I'm going to try to have those line up for it with the occasional Gumbo Fiction Salon so that I can come back and visit. But it would only be here to come back to visit because of our last reader tonight. This is Philip Janowski. He is a contributor to the Chicago Review of Books, Windy City Reviews, and is the president of the Speculative Literature Foundation's Chicago branch. He is also a board member of the Chicago Writers Association and an associate board member of Story Studio Chicago. He has been awarded an honorable mention for the Writers of the Future contest. Huzzah. And he'll be taking over, as I've said, the monthly Gumbo Fiction Salon open mic and reading series. So please keep coming out to the show under his leadership and keep the fun alive. And please welcome Philip Janowski.
All right, yeah, sounds good. Well, my history with the Gumbo Fiction Salon is much shorter than probably everyone here. The story is pretty simple. I started coming earlier this year, and I loved it. And then Tina announced she had to go, and I don't want it to end. So, yay. That's what I So the following is an excerpt from my epic fantasy novel, The Prayer of the Dominoes. This story takes place in an alternate world, and different chapters focus on different protagonists. The protagonist of the following chapter is Penta, a hot-tempered young hare, something like an intelligent rabbit person. Some species names in this reading have been edited for easier context here. Penta was pleased to notice, once he made it into Anarcho City, that he was no longer regarded with any surprise. He was used to being stared at for his unique coloration. Here, there was an extensive range of types and colorations. Peoples from the Northwest countries and the South, where populations were more soupy than strict alpaca. Hares, armadillos, lizards, humans, hoodies, wisps, a few ravens, and then much less recognizable beings to Penta's eyes all walked the streets. Night black lizards that crawled along on all fours, but still used their front legs like hands and arms. Creatures that looked like they were made of stone in the form of giant square heads, but moved and spoke. Snakes the size of people, but evidently intelligent, balancing boxes on the ends of their tails. A giant stag beetle walking on two legs. On and on. There are so many kinds of people in the world, Penta thought. The roads were strange as well. While various species walked along the sidewalks, the roads were taken up by what looked like uncovered buggies. They were the sort of thing Princess Alice occasionally rode around in, usually pulled by hares. Here, however, nothing pulled the buggies. They moved along, steered by drivers, rolling forward along the road. They must have been Kiney devices. Penta had heard about these. Motorized buggies powered by ink. He looked around for several moments, then focused on a brown-furred hare moving along the sidewalk across the street. He had a suitcase in his left hand and wore glasses. Penta hopped over and landed in front of the other hare. "Hey, buddy, can you help me?" The brown hare moved right around Penta's side, continuing down the sidewalk. "Hey," Penta turned around. He was not used to other hares ignoring him. Just jumping out at a hare at Alphecca Castle was usually enough to get them talking. "Buddy," he placed a hand on the hare's shoulder. The hare swung around, a knife clutched in his right hand. Sunlight glinted off the blade and the hare's glasses. Back off. He still gripped the suitcase in his left hand. Whoa, Penta leapt back. The surprise smacked the heat out of him. Hey, I just want to know where the Kaini Corporation is. Away, he spoke with an accent Penta was unused to. Away, go away. I'm asking a simple question. Now Penta was getting mad again. Why can't you answer my simple question? The other hare made a slight slashing motion with the blade. Away. All right, go on your way then. Penta backed off. The other hare continued watching him, so Penta turned himself and went down another street. So the hares were more aggressive here, perhaps. Wandering into a little park, he spotted a motorized Kaini buggy stopped on the side of the road by a fountain. A grass-green lizard was scooping handfuls of water out of the fountain and drinking. The lizard was tiny, half the size of Penta. Hey, buddy. Penta felt strange talking to a lizard, but the place and circumstances were already strange. Might as well lean into it. He approached slowly from another side of the fountain. Hello? The lizard acknowledged him for a moment before slurping at another handful of water. Yeah, okay. Penta pointed at the buggy. Can you tell me where you got one of these? The lizard stopped scooping water and stared at him with wide eyes. Penta tried again. Where did you get that? The lizard flicked its head to the left. Didn't steal it. I'm not asking if you stole it. Penta wondered why everyone made everything difficult. I asked where you got it. It's mine. The lizard tensed, tail wiggling slightly. I didn't steal it. Penta's fingers clenched. Fucking listen. I am trying to find Kaini Corporation. With a tremendous leap, the lizard flung himself a full 8 feet into the air and landed in the seat of his vehicle. With a quick movement, the vehicle puttered to life, and the little lizard drove away. This was the moment that Penta was thrown over the edge. Maybe it was the tension of being in the new city and seeing so many new things, as well as the encounter with the other hare. But Penta discovered he was much angrier than he thought he was. Get back here, Penta hollered and sprang after. The buggies were impressive technological advancements, but were not yet so fast, especially upon starting. Penta took 5 strides forward, made a jump, and landed in the seat beside the lizard. Hey! The lizard shrieked and threw itself into the air again, right out of the driver's seat. Penta looked up, watching in what felt like slow motion as the small lizard flipped backwards and away. Penta turned back to the front, just as the buggy crashed into a park tree. The vehicle could not have been going above 10 miles an hour, so the worst of it was a jolt that threw Penta forward. He slammed his face against the dashboard. Gah! He pulled his head back, nose freshly bleeding. Ugh. He got out of the car, reached for some grass, balled it up, and stuffed the clumps in his nostrils. When he looked back, the lizard was gone. There were some other beings in the small park, a hoodie playing with its child, and a big scarab beetle digging in the dirt. But no one seemed to pay attention to him at all. Just another day in Anarcho, huh? All right then. Penta moved over to the driver's seat. Screw it then. Might as well have some fun. He had some experience driving a vehicle like this in the Kaini factory back in Alfeca, a small motorized device used to pick up and move barrels of juice. This device was pretty similar. An ink pedal, a way to go in reverse, brakes. All right, he muttered to himself. He backed the buggy up. The tree he had hit was unharmed, though noticeably dented. The front of the buggy was slightly caved in, but otherwise it ran fine. What's the worst that could happen? Penta backed out into the road proper, and with a few careful turns of the wheel, centered and moved forward. The roads were made of some hard black stone. Penta wasn't familiar with it. It was this flattened, hard surface that allowed the buggies to run along without trouble. The vehicle's wheels probably couldn't handle the bumpy earth, sandy beaches, and wild routes outside the city. Soon, Penta was driving along down the road, moving ahead with no idea where. The wind blew his ears back. The road ahead was clear of other buggies, and Penta was getting used to the drive. Intrigued by the surrounding sights, Penta found himself the most pleasantly relaxed he had been since he'd entered the city. A chorus of honking sounds erupted from behind. Penta slowed and looked back. 3 other buggies were right behind him. One was driven by a silver-haired human woman, one by a fat armadillo, and one somehow by a copperhead snake. The honks were coming from the buggies. "Hurry the fuck up," the armadillo howled. Penta wanted to turn around and hurl his own response, but he was also wary of crashing the buggy again. His enjoyment was enough to motivate him to not lose control. He focused on the road ahead and pressed down harder on the gas pedal. "Oh, Jesu Krish." Judging by the accent, it was probably the human woman groaning. "Come on, buddy, we don't have all day." The stupid buggy must be broken, Penta thought. He pressed down harder on the ink pedal. "It's not my fault. Hurry up." Actually, the buggy was getting slower and slower. Now, it was coming entirely to a stop. Then he realized the ink. An ink meter near to the steering wheel measured how much of the energizing fluid the vehicle still had in its tank, and the meter was down to 0. The buggy puttered to a stop in the middle of the road. "Idiot," the human woman scowled. Her buggy drove around and past his left. Then the armadillo. Last came the snake driver. A tail flicked, and a banana peel came flying out and landed in Penta's lap. The peel was dripping wet. Penta sprang up. "You mother!" "Excuse me." Penta's buggy shook. Penta stopped and turned. A 4th vehicle had stopped beside Penta, this on his right. This one differed from the buggies. It had a full metal carapace which covered its top. It was painted yellow, with black and white checker squares along the side. The engine thrummed with greater energy. A panel of glass had rolled down, and a human wearing a green flat cap leaned out. His mitt of a hand rested on the edge of Penta's buggy. The man's face was well-toned with a trimmed mustache. He wore a blue outfit. "Sir," he said with good humor, "are you aware that this buggy is stolen?" "What? Huh?" Penta stood on the seat, still monitoring the snake-driven buggy running off into the distance. "What?" He was almost frothing at the mouth. "Sir, you were driving a stolen vehicle." The human grinned, showing a full set of white teeth. "I'll need you to come with me." Thank you.
One last prize to give away. You have to come.
You pick a good one.
Well, right, we have 787-386.
That's me! Hey, what a nice bag!
It's what's inside that counts. Okay. Oh, the bag's pretty.
Another big hand for all our amazing leaders and performers tonight. I was going to say this is just a taste of what you can get at Gumbo Fiction Salon, but this was actually a multi-course meal tonight. And I'm so glad you were all here to be a part of it, and I want to thank you for making the Chicago genre community as live and thriving and welcoming and friendly as you all have. You guys have done that, and I thank you very much for letting me be a part of it. Thank you. have to leave right away. I know a bunch of you are going, I must leave. But I'm gonna go in the other room, and anyone who would still like to do pictures, let's do some pictures. And thank you all again. Good night. Be safe.